Forgot someone in Star Trek. Strange New Worlds learned Spock's biggest secret. In a franchise built on memory of friendships, missions, and the countless lessons learned across the stars, it's surprisingly easy for even devoted fans to forget a moment that quietly changed everything. Star Trek has always thrived on subtle character revelations, and sometimes the most important secrets slip through the cracks of bigger storylines. That's exactly what happened in Star Trek Strange New Worlds, where one character ended up learning the most personal secret of Spock, and somehow the show barely stopped to acknowledge it afterward. For longtime viewers of the franchise, Spock's inner conflict has always been one of the most compelling aspects of his character. As a half-human, half-Vulcan officer in Star Trek, the original series, Spock spent years trying to suppress his emotions in favor of Vulcan logic. His struggle between those two halves defined not only his personality, but also many of the most memorable stories in the franchise. Yet Strange New Worlds adds a fascinating twist to that dynamic. Before he became the famously stoic officer audiences knew in the 1960s, Spock had already experienced moments where his human side threatened to surface. And, perhaps more importantly, someone else witnessed it. Spock's emotional secret was never supposed to be seen. One of the defining aspects of Vulcan culture is emotional control. Vulcans consider emotional expression to be chaotic and dangerous, something that must be rigorously disciplined through logic and meditation. Spock grew up caught between worlds, raised on Vulcan but with a human mother who represented everything Vulcans try to suppress. Because of this upbringing, Spock's deepest fear isn't failure in duty. It's losing control. That's why one particular moment in Strange New Worlds carries such weight. In a rare and vulnerable situation, Spock allowed his emotions to show in front of another member of the crew. For a character who normally guards his feelings more carefully than any classified Starfleet document, that's enormous. And yet the show moved past it so quickly that many viewers barely registered what had happened. Chapel accidentally discovered the truth. The person who witnessed Spock's emotional vulnerability wasn't Captain Pike, nor one of the senior officers aboard the Enterprise. Instead, it was someone much closer to him in everyday life. Nurse Christine Chapel. Christine Chapel has always had an unusual relationship with Spock. In the original series, she openly harbored feelings for him, even though Spock rarely reciprocated them in any obvious way. Their connection was defined by quiet tension and subtle moments rather than sweeping romance. But Strange New Worlds reimagines their relationship in a way that adds surprising depth. When Chapel encounters Spock during one of his rare emotional moments, she essentially glimpses the secret he spends his entire life hiding. That beneath the calm Vulcan exterior is someone struggling deeply with feelings he's been taught to deny. For Chapel, the revelation is shocking, but also strangely humanizing. She sees that Spock isn't just the distant, logical science officer everyone assumes he is. He's someone wrestling with identity, belonging, and the expectations of two different cultures. And once you realize that Chapel knows this, it changes how every later interaction between them feels. Strange New Worlds quietly changed their relationship. What makes this reveal so fascinating is how subtly Strange New Worlds handles it.